Welcome to Midnight Mule FPL. I'm Midnight Mule and this is the video for Game Week 31 where we look at the popular players in FPL. The players that hurt your rank are going to be the highly owned players that do well but you don't own. If a player does well but they're very lowly owned, it really doesn't matter, it's not going to hurt your rank. We start by looking at the scores for Game Week 30, and I was putting this together while I was listening to the Chelsea-Spurs game, so I haven't put the players' scores in for Chelsea and Spurs, but Chelsea ended up winning 1-0. So for the keepers for Game Week 30, Sales got 8, Martinez got 6, and it was generally a low-scoring week. There are one or two decent scores out there, but generally it was low-scoring. For defenders, Virgil van Dijk 8 and Nori 8, Gvardiol 6, Milinkovic 6, Kanate 6, Konza 6, Williams 5. And that's all for defenders. For the midfielders, Saka 8, nice to see him back, and Bremo 8. Salah only got 3, a lot of us captained him. Rogers 11. Luis Diaz 9. And then for the forwards, Marmoush 9, Isak 8, Wissa 5. And that's all. We'll now look at the players that are either popular now or used to be popular and maybe in your team, starting with the goalkeepers. So Raya, by my reckoning, is the keeper that if you don't own is going to do the most damage over the next few game weeks. He's popular. None of the keepers are hugely popular, but he is quite popular. Got Everton, Brentford, then a double. Could get 4 clean sheets, but Gabriel's injured now, so that's surely going to affect how good they're going to be. You'd expect at least 2 clean sheets in the next 3 game weeks, I'd have thought. But he's quite expensive at 5.5. Sales is the one that's next going to hurt you the most. I would not go buying Sales at the moment though, because there are better choices. But Nottingham Forest have been good defensively. So Henderson, he's got 5 games in the next 3 game weeks. It's perfectly likely they're not going to get any clean sheets. But he could get some, and he could be getting save points. He could be getting 3 points a game, which means in the next 3 game weeks, that's going to be 15 points, and that's all right. And he's only 4.6. So it's feasible he's going to outscore Sales and Raya over the next 3 game weeks. And he's a fair bit cheaper. If I had to buy a keeper now, I would probably buy Raya if I could afford him. But Henderson's kind of all right. And then Pickford, absolutely not worth buying. Arsenal, Forest, Man City, Chelsea, they're not easy games. Everton's games get easier toward the end of the season. But if you've got him, that's absolutely fine, but don't go buying him. And whatever keeper you've got, unless you're wildcarding, I'd say don't change it if the keeper's playing. Introducing Pope. Newcastle have some nice fixtures. They're away to Leicester, and they've got a double at home against United and Palace. Then they're away to Villa, then they've got Ipswich. And the Ipswich game is when other teams are blanking. So Pope's, as long as he plays, could well be quite a good choice at 4.9 million. That's not too bad. And then the less important goalkeepers, introducing Areola. Not that he's a great keeper, but he's a playing keeper and he's only 4.2 million. So some managers are now bringing him in to free up some money to do other things. And whenever teams are going to bench boost, he's just going to be the player that's on the bench. Might get 2 points, might get 3 points, but at least you can bench boost and you've got a playing keeper. And then Fleckend, not worth buying. Don't need to sell him, not worth buying though. Becker, so he missed the last game. I don't know if he's going to be playing this coming game week, but he's a lot of money, 5.6 million. And there are other keepers who do have double game weeks coming up that are almost certainly going to outscore him. So if you've got Becker and another keeper that doesn't play, it's worth selling Becker for example, Pope or maybe Raya or even Henderson if you really wanted to. Martinez, so he's got a double in 3 game weeks time, but then he blanks. Villa have just kept a clean sheet. At home to Forest, away to Southampton, and then a double. He could get some clean sheet points. But 5 million wouldn't be my first choice. I'd personally rather have Pope, I think. But he's all right because the double, no doubt some managers will be bringing him in. He's slightly growing in popularity. Ward represents any 3.9 million keeper that doesn't even play. And Fabianski doesn't play but used to. For the defenders, Munoz is now the most important defender in the game because Gabriel's injured and Trent's injured. So what this means is if you don't own Munoz and he does well, he's going to hurt you more than any other defender. The number you see in red, by the way, minus 3.2, If the player scores 6 points this game week and you don't own him, that's the same as you getting minus 3.2. He's only 5.1 million. So if you can get to him, he's a good little bit of protection. Home to Brighton and then a couple of not so easy doubles, but he should be getting 4, 5, 6 points at least in the double game weeks. Gvardiol's got a double in 3 game weeks time, 6.1 million. He's very popular. So he's fine to get if you can afford him. Kirkes used to be very popular. He's dropping in popularity. If you've got him, that's okay. You can keep him to your wild card. It's not worth moving him on, but I'd say absolutely don't bother buying him. And he's going to be falling down considerably in popularity. Saliba's going to be growing in popularity. Gabriel's now out for the rest of the season, we learnt today. So people are still going to want an Arsenal defender because Arsenal have got a double up in 3 game weeks time. So Saliba, I would guess, is going to be at least in the top 3 for popularity for defenders very soon. But he's all right, but he is 6.3 million, which is quite expensive. But if you're 3 playing defenders at the moment, were Munoz, Gvardiol and Saliba, rather, that would be all right. Milenkovic's going to gradually be dropping in popularity. Don't go buying him, but if you've got him, that's all right. Burn, so he's on 8 yellow cards, but he's probably going to be all right now for the double game week. So he's got Leicester, then he's got a double, away to Villa, then he's got Ipswich. Only 4.4 million. It's quite a nice enabler. And like I said, he doubles in 2 game weeks time. Virgil van Dijk, absolutely not worth buying. Very good defender. Liverpool don't have any doubles coming up. 6.4 million. He'd be worth selling for any of Munoz, Gvardiol, Saliba, maybe even Burn to free up the money. And then Aït-Nouri, Wolves have started keeping clean sheets. Now he can get attacking returns, only 4.8. Wouldn't go buying him unless you're on a wild card and you need to free up some money, in which case he's all right, but he's not doubling as things stand. And then we're working through the defenders in order of importance if you don't own them. Robinson's dropping in popularity. No need to buy him. If you've got him, he's all right, but on the wild card you wouldn't get him. Konate, you wouldn't bother getting him. Mikalenko, you wouldn't want to get. Taking Pedro Porro out of the system, he's not worth having now, and he's massively unpopular now. So Livramento's a new entry, 4.5 million, Newcastle. He's not very highly owned at the moment, but in the next game week or 2, he's probably going to be massive, well, not massively, but quite highly owned. So he's fine to get, only 4.5 million, and it frees up money to play elsewhere. If you're going to bench boost in game week 32 or 33, you might want him as a cheap player to make sure you've got 15 playing players. And then Nico Williams, he's dropping in popularity because people want doublers. Forest aren't doubling. Konsa is doubling in game week 33. Not hugely exciting. There's a chance of a clean sheet, but he's only 4.4 million. So if you want to get out 15 doublers for game week 33, you're going to have some cheap players. Konsa's an all right cheap player. And then defenders that are really not going to hurt you if you don't own them. Masraoui, bench fodder. Aina's probably not going to play this game week. I don't know for sure, but he's red flagged at the moment. Harwood Bellis, bench fodder. Woutfaus, bench fodder. Gabriel, out for the rest of the season. If you're wildcarding next game week, you might not want to move him on this game week, but unless you're wildcarding next week, move him on. But if you want to move him on this game week and you're wildcarding next week, that is absolutely fine as well. There are obviously better things to do with the money now. And then Greaves, bench fodder. Trent, I've decided we should take him out of the system. He's still flagged. If he comes back this season, I think he may not do very well personally. And at 7.3 million, you need that cash to do other things. So a couple of weeks ago, Gabriel and Trent were the 2 most important defenders. Now I'm saying they're both out of the system. So midfielders, Salah and Saka, they're the 2 most popular. Salah's more than twice as popular as Saka at the moment, which means if you own neither and they both got the same points, Salah's going to hurt you a lot more. However, in 3 game weeks' time, I'd expect Saka to be much highly owned than Salah because Saka's got a double and Liverpool have no more doubles coming up. So it's going to gradually shift, but between now and the end of the season, assuming Salah doesn't get injured, he's probably still going to be quite highly owned. But if you want to move him on because you need the funds, that's kind of okay, but you're at a bit of a risk there. But Saka, you really want to get him if you can. Mbeumo's slowly dropping in popularity, but he consistently gets 6 and 7 points, it seems, most game weeks. If you don't own him, I'd say absolutely don't buy him. If you've got him, he's absolutely fine to hold on to at the moment. But when we're in game week 33, when there's the doubles, you'll probably rather have a double game week player than Mbeumo. Palmer's massively dropping in popularity. He got an assist tonight, but he's really not done much recently. Jackson's back, which is interesting. So that may help Palmer get some more points. But because Chelsea aren't doubling, he's going to be getting sold off. A lot of people are moving Palmer to Saka. That's a completely sensible move. Sarr's becoming more popular, and he's got Brighton, then he's got a double, then he's got a double. So his popularity is going to be massively growing. Cliver didn't play last game week. He's injured. We don't know if he's going to be playing West Ham this game week. It looks like probably not, but we don't know for sure. I think he's got a 50% flag at the moment. But Bournemouth, as things stand, haven't got any double game weeks. So if you wanted to move him on, like even swap him for Sarr, for example, you'd save a bit of money. That would be okay. But if he does play this week against West Ham and he does well and you don't own him, that's going to hurt you a bit. But not as bad as if you didn't own Mbeumo, for example. So Fernandes, very good player, could well get 20 points the next 4 game weeks, but Man United don't have any double game weeks coming up. So managers are selling him to free up the cash and to buy a player who's got a double game week coming up. If you've got him, he's fine to keep. If you want to move him on, that's fine. If you don't have him, I'd say don't go buying him, even though he's a good player. Rodgers, he's only 5.5 million. And this game week, he's got Forest. Game week 32, Southampton. Game week 33, he doubles. But he blanks in game week 34, as do all teams that are doubling in 33. But a lot of teams will be buying him because he's cheap, frees up money, and they can get loads of doublers out. So Newcastle, they double in game week 32, but they don't blank in 34. So they're actually quite good players to get, especially if you've used your free hit already. If you've got no free hit left, then it's absolutely worth trying to get 3 Newcastle players. He's only 5 million and he's all right as a midfielder. He's a good player. He's probably not going to score as many points as, for example, Gordon, assuming Gordon plays, but Murphy is a good player. And sorry about tripping over my words. It's been a long week and I'm really tired. Bowen, good player, ticks along nicely. West Ham don't have any double game weeks, but he's a perfectly okay player. Eze's got 2 doubles coming up. He's got Brighton this game week. He's going to be growing in popularity. 6.8 is quite a lot of money, but he's absolutely worth having. And in the next 3 game weeks, he's probably going to outscore, for example, Fernandes or Bowen, or probably anyone on the screen at the moment. Semenyo's gradually dropping in popularity. You don't have to sell him at the moment, but he is on 9 yellow cards. Absolutely don't go buying him. If you want to get rid of him, that's fine. But he's got West Ham this coming game week, and defensively, West Ham haven't been great recently. And then the least important page in midfielders, Luis Diaz. I know there's somebody who's religiously following the system. They've kept hold of Luis Diaz, and he does keep getting points. So he is a good player. However, he's not very highly owned, so he's not going to hurt your rank if you don't own him. And the whole point of this series is to look at who are the highly owned players that can hurt your rank. Luis Diaz was highly owned, but not anymore. If you've got him, he's fine to keep hold of, but he's got no double game weeks coming up. Gordon, we're expecting he's probably going to play against Leicester. He did get a bit of a bruise in the England game apparently, but then he's got a double. Assuming he's fit for that, he's a very good player to have if you can get to him. Dango, massive minutes risk, no doubles coming up. If you're going to wildcard Toon, obviously don't get him. And if you want to move him on, that's a sound move. Enzo Fernandez was highly owned, not anymore, only 4.7 million. No doubles coming up. Not worth buying. If you've got him, he's okay to hold on to another couple of weeks. Got Ipswich at home next game week, as in game week 32. But you certainly wouldn't go buying him. Dibbling bench fodder, 4.4 million. So Isak, he went off injured last game, but assuming he's all right, he's absolutely worth having. He's the most highly owned forward at the moment. He's got Leicester this coming game week. Then he's got a double. So in the double game week, he's probably going to be the most captain player. And in game week 34, he's at home to Ipswich. So he may well be the most captain player then as well. So assuming he's fit, he's absolutely worth having. If you don't have him, he's going to really hurt your rank if he does well. Marmoush, massively growing in popularity. He may soon be the most highly owned forward. In fact, he almost certainly will be. And he's got a double in Gameweek 33, but blanks in 34. And then Mateta, he went off at 58-ish minutes, I think, last game week. So only got 1 game point. But he's got 5 games in the next 3 game weeks. 7.6 isn't too much. If your 3 forwards are the 3 that are on the screen at the moment, you're quite well protected. And it also means a forward is not really going to hurt your rank. These are the best 3 to have at the moment, probably if you're wildcarding. Chris Wood is dropping in popularity. He didn't even play last game week because he was injured. Nobody should be buying him at the moment. He's absolutely fine to sell for any of the other 3 that are on the screen at the moment. Visser, gradually dropping in popularity. He shouldn't be hurting you if he does well. Watkins, so some people are buying him now. He's got a double coming up. He's got Southampton next game week. Then he's got the double. However, he did come off the bench. I think it was last night when he played. Personally, I wouldn't be buying him, and he's 8.6 million. Any of the other 3 greens on this page, I'd say, be better choices. However, if you've got him and you want to keep hold of him, that's okay. But I'd say he's not worth buying, but he is a good player. And João Pedro, he's nice and cheap. He's not going to hurt your rank if he does well. But he's got Palace and then Leicester, Brentford, West Ham. That's all right. It depends on your team. Most managers, apart from when they bench boost, are going to be playing 5 midfielders and 2 forwards, or 4 midfielders and 3 forwards. So if you're playing 5 midfielders, it's fine for João Pedro to be your 3rd forward. Next page of forward, Raul Jimenez, like João Pedro, he's all right. He's only 5.5 million. Beto's only 5 million. Absolutely not worth buying Beto. Fixtures really aren't good. Arsenal, Forest, Man City, Chelsea. But he does free up money. Gakpo, he's not getting the minutes anymore. Absolutely not worth having. If you've still got him, I'd suggest you just get rid of him. Cannon represents that should be 4.5 million forward who doesn't even play. Vardy, very lowly owned. If he does well, he's not going to hurt your rank at all, but he's only 5.3 million. If you've got him, he's okay to keep hold of if you don't want to be using a transfer, because at least he does play. Haaland is going to be out for a few weeks. Dump him if you've got him. Even if it's for a hit, free up the money and buy one of those first 3 forwards. And then Kuna's still out suspended, but he's back very soon. If you've held on to him all this time, you might want to keep him. And I'm keeping him in the system because he's going to be popular again soon. So regarding the bench order, what I'm suggesting from the players we've just looked at, the first keeper you see that you've got goes on your bench, which means you're playing the other keeper. So if you've got Ward or Fabianski or a keeper doesn't even play, of course they're on your bench. Then if you've got Flecken, he's on your bench, then it'd be Henderson, Pickford, Areola, Martinez, Sales, Becker, who might be injured, Pope, and then Raya. Regarding the other players, and of course with the bench order and captaincy, you do whatever you like. But I'm suggesting the first player you see that you've got is position 3 on your bench, the next one position 2, and the last one position 1. If you get your bench right, the 11 players sort themselves out. They're actually going to play. So I'm saying put Greaves on your bench, then Howard Bellis, Foust, Mazraoui, Robinson, Mikalenko, Aina, Dibbling, Dango, Enzo, Gakpo, Beto, Konza, Konate, Livramento, Byrne, Kirkes, Raul Jimenez, Williams, Milenkovic, Vardy, João Pedro, Aït-Nouri, Virgil van Dijk, Semenyo, Rogers, Cliver, Luis Diaz, Murphy, Visser, Munoz, Gvardiol, Saliba, Sarr, Eze, Wood, who might be injured, Bowen, Mbemo, Gordon, Mateta and Watkins. And that's all the players we've just seen that I talked about, apart from those that are injured, those we're taking out, and potential captaincy choices. So for the captaincy, I suspect Salah's going to be the most widely captained player, which means he's going to be the safest choice. That doesn't mean he's expected to get the most points, but he is probably the safest choice. But Saka is also a very good choice this game week. And then Palmer could do all right now that Jackson's back. He's actually a good choice as long as he's not flagged. He's a perfectly good person to go for. Marmoush, I think they're at home to Man United. Very good player to go for. And then Fernandes, he could get a free kick or a penalty. Any of those on the screen just now are potentially good captaincy choices and your good vice captaincy choices. If you don't fancy any of those, then any of the green midfielders or forwards on the previous pages are perfectly good choices. As for the background picture, Today's April the 3rd, and on this day in 1930, Alfred Mosher Butts, as his name was, played for the first time a game that he'd been making with friends called Scrabble. And it took quite a few years for it to become popular, and now of course it's a very popular game. So here's a couple of kittens looking at this new game with the little blocks on and letters and trying to work out what's this all about. So there we have it, my thoughts on the players for the upcoming Game Week 31. And I'm really sorry I've not had time to go over a sensible chip strategy according to the different permutations, but it's just been a crazy week. If I can fit it in tomorrow's video, I will, but if not, it's going to have to wait for the following game week. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you have fun at the weekend. Thanks, bye.